Boom, and according to that I'm streaming. Let me just cue all this up right. Boom, it's good to see you all, and I'm back with the electronics. As you can see that I need so much. That's very good to see you all. How are you all doing? Very glad that Wirecast, I don't know why it wasn't working before actually, but whatever's going on with that, it is now back to working. And it's also back that I can share the comments, which, you know, for me is something that I enjoy. So I'm very glad about that. Although I do appreciate the comments that you just wanted to hear me speak, and that's all very good also. So I'm just making sure I've got the right size and whatnot. And there indeed is the room. So yeah, it's all good. How is everyone? So welcome to Tokyo tonight. It's 11 PM. I want to get back a little bit into the regular format. And yeah, I'm good. Things have been, I don't know, I was just on the Three Old Dudes just before this, very briefly. I was a little bit distracted. I've been doing some stuff, and I've been actually working on doing another. That's one thing actually we talked about, a lot of people talk about at the YouTube party, which is whenever you make a, it's the videos that you don't really care so much about that tend to go viral, and the ones that you work really hard on never really take off. And I'm working really hard on a video right now. Safe in the knowledge it's not going to take off, but it's going to be awesome. And so I've been trying to, for the last few hours, I've been trying to find some music. And, you know, Creative Commons, it has to be said, has been a little bit in decline. And as a result of that, there's not as much stuff on Jamendo and CC Mixer as there used to be, and I've been listening to it for hours now. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And then I was just on the Three Old Dudes, and I got reminded that Kevin Crockett, who's an awesome guy, and a very talented musician, he's actually got a fantastic album, Umibeku, which he recently made. He's made a bunch of music, but the production quality on it is superb, and it's exactly the type of music I was kind of actually looking for anyway. And he said, just use mine, and I was just listening to it just before this, and it's awesome. So I'm going to use some of his music, which is great, because it always feels great to be able to use music of people that you know. I used Rhyming Gaijin's track just before on the last video that I did. The next one will be similar to that, except it'll be a lot more. I was just playing around with the app and using some old clips for that one. But yeah, I love editing to music as well. I like, you know, beat matching and stuff like that. Also lately I've been very much getting into the idea of getting back into trying to use Beatmaker again and get smart with that. That's something that Rhyming Gaijin does really well, like making music on the fly and beats on the fly, and that's something I always wanted to be better at. I've got this thing in my head, I want to make kind of hip-hop music with chiptunes on top. So it's technically probably for the purists, it's not a chiptune if it doesn't have like the wonky, you know, the old-fashioned beats, but I think you could actually take a lot of the old gaming hooks. I've mentioned this before, the gaming hooks, and you can put it with the proper electronic beat, and I think it'd come out really well. I've been trying to find music like that, and I'm sure it exists, but it's hard to find. So yeah, you know, basically kind of a nerdcore kind of a thing. I guess that's me. Oh yeah, some other news. Yesterday, while I was in the middle of going out and about, and I was going to a friend's wedding yesterday, but on the way there I swung through Ueno, and I picked up some. I actually lost my glasses after the party, which has kind of bummed me out a little bit, because now, you know, I mean, even the shirt is like the shape of the glasses, but I found these are, I think, pretty much the same shape. I found two types, so I got like the shinier ones, which are actually more like the ones I had before, and some what do you call it? It's kind of you know, not quite so shiny, but same shape. And I like them. They're big and thick and goofy. There's no real purpose or anything to them, but I like them. It's kind of, I feel comfortable in them. You know, when you go into middle age, it's like you might as well at least try to be hipster middle age. And I quite like these. I quite like the non-shiny ones, although I guess, yeah, when I looked in the mirror, I guess the shiny ones, they make them mostly shiny for a reason. So I don't know, which one do you reckon looks better? This one? I mean, they're practically the same. This one is not as reflective, or the reflective ones, which are pretty much like what I had before. What do you reckon? And how do you like them? I mean, it's pretty much the same, I think. So I guess that's the question I've got for you guys. Yes, and yes, Wirecast is in the house. So let's quickly get into the comments. I want to say hello to all you guys, because I missed you guys. And indeed, Wirecast is working, so let me switch over. Try that now. Ah, dramas. Oh well, it wouldn't be my show if it wasn't dramas. So indeed, Ycast is working, and it's awesome. Well, it's just nice for me that I get to. Oh, look at that! You can enlarge the font of the comments. That is interesting. I didn't know you could do it. So you can do that separately. So anyway, let me get this the right size. Oh, check it out. We got. Oh, oh, oh. Oh no. I see. It lets you do the font. Oh, so that's nice. I can actually enlarge the font of the comments, which can make these a little bit more readable on the screen. Of course, I'm looking at it before it gets streamed, so make sure this is streaming in 720p. So, you know, take advantage of that. Zoom it up. And let me just quickly check. Oh, that's odd. It was enlarging before. It doesn't matter. I'm saying hello to everyone. I want to say hello to you guys. And kick it off. Indeed, look. It's Wirecast. It's working. You're there. I'm here. I'm looking at the camera, and it's all good. Everything is as they should be. Apparently, it was an account migration, upgrading, technical thing, and whatever it was, I'm glad it seems to be fixed now. So indeed, Ahmed Usul, very good to see you, sir. As always, Deuce Ire Dota, very good for a Frenchman. Present for the show. Always good to have French people. Bonjour, bonsoir. Yeah, I was going to meet a French person this morning, actually, guy from my rugby club, for breakfast, and he said, let's meet at 8:20 a.m. and so I went out quite early for a Sunday morning, and turned out the guy overslept, which was what I'm cool. I'm used to that sort of thing with my friends, but very good to see you. Morten Hillman, very good to see you. Don't call me Hiko-sama, just call me Hiko Dude. That's all you have to call me. Travis Moore, good to see you. And I love the logo. By the way, you see the thumbnail today. I actually took a really good Instagram shot today, and but in any case, the font and everything, I really do want to have. If we can have a regular kind of a shop front with 2.5 Oyajis design shirts, because the designs that everyone gave for those were so awesome. I'm going to put a Tokyo Tonight shirt in there. I mean, I might only sell 3, and 2 of them might be to me. But if anyone else ever wants one, it'd be kind of cool. And hell, I want to wear it, you know. So I'll definitely, Travis Moore, I will be consulting with you about getting a shirt design based on your very awesome font design. And likewise, if there's any other similarly talented people out there who have a cool idea for a motif or a font for the show, I'm all ears to it, because I might put something on here somewhere as well. But very good to see you as always, of course, Travis Moore, sir. Who else we got here? We got Lucas Mossa, very good to see you. Hopefully this is a long one so you can catch the end of it live. Okay, you're working again, are you? I hope so. Yeah, I just put it up just before the show started, so anyway, hopefully we'll get hopefully people like it enough to put thumbs up. I'm always very happy when that happens. Derek Munger, hello from London, hello there. 3 old dudes, good to see you. I guess this was, you're very good at juggling that stuff. I can't focus on multiple things at once. S. Rob, hello from Scotland, and actually that's an interesting topic as well. I don't know, I've got some Scottish, but not very much. It's mostly North England. And I don't really know what to think about the referendum. It's a really interesting, it's a historical moment, but just because it's history doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to go do. But that's an interesting topic. Not one I plan to talk about in a lot of detail, but it does affect New Zealand in the sense that, you know, our entire flag is based on the navy colour of the Scottish flag and that component of the Union Jack. That said, I'm actually I'm a Republican, New Zealander, Republican in the non-American sense in terms of actually becoming a republic, i.e. a country without the Queen as the head of state. Lovely lady, but you know, if you're your own country, you might as well have your own Queen. And this is a difference between New Zealand and Scotland, which is that the Queen is technically separately the Queen of Scotland and England at the same time, hence the term United Kingdom. But for us, yeah, well, she's also the Queen of New Zealand, but you know, I think we can have our own head of state in New Zealand. It might be a good prompt for us to get our own flag, which is something I've always been a supporter of, but it's never really taken off in New Zealand. But it'd be kind of ridiculous to have a flag that even the English themselves, or the Brits, don't use anymore. But that's really the only real impact. It'd be very interesting to see, and very interesting to see the consequences if the Scots vote for independence on places like Catalonia and the Basque Country, of course, which have been through very, very nasty, well, particularly in the case of the País Vasco in Spain, of some very nasty secession campaigns. But there again, maybe this is I think what the EU is supposed to be all about, right? It's about everyone kind of being European citizens first, and allowing coexistence of these different identities. So it's an interesting time, but I digress. Yes, Rob, very good to have you here. Indeed, and Otto is asking that straight away. Lucas Mossa, hey, you're in the Philippines. I didn't actually realize you're in the Philippines. Oh, it's very good. I love adobo. too much. I have to stay away from it. I love the adobo too much. I'll go back to the non-reflective ones. I like the non-reflective ones. What do we think? Reflective or non-reflective? I quite like these. Yeah. It makes me want to get worse eyesight just so I can put in proper lenses. But yes. Michael Pickett, very good to see you as always, sir. And very good to see you at the party the other night. Morton Hillman, good to see you. Kantensei. Simon Rowe, that's right, the 3 old dudes, very good to see you. Konbanwa. Brad from Bradford, who is not Brad Ford. Oh, you never actually joined live. Welcome, good to see you, Brad. Annabelle, oh, you know what, I might just bring the mic closer as well. I just realized it was kind of far away there. This will probably sound a lot better all of a sudden now. Annabelle Elizabeth Violet O'Rourke, that's an impressive name, Annabelle. Hello from Australia. That's like a South American name, except they're all really English names all strung together. Usually it's like, I learned Spanish for a time when I was in South America, and it's like Rodrigo, Intego, Hernandez, all as one name. But that's a lot of really, really English names strung together. That's very cool. Nidru, one from Denmark. I met some Danish people. I met a Danish person. In fact, that's right, Zoe's Adventures in Japan. Gotta say as well, Zoe's not, she's easy on the eyes as well, and very nice, lovely. And I was talking with her in Sayuli about Danish prisons, where Sayuli has played concerts apparently, and she sold CDs there, but the CDs immediately got confiscated because they could be used as slashing weapons, which struck me as being a fantastic business model. But that's right. Hello, Denmark. Yeah, we were talking about what wonderful prisons apparently there are in Denmark. Not that I was tempted to go and actually try to get into one. Vash Ego, very good to see you. It says there's only one watching. I hope that's a couple more now, but we'll see. Copenhagen sends love to all, says Morten Hillman. Indeed. Travis Moore, that's right. Yes, I got Wirecast working. It's awesome. Barringer action indeed. Contensai, yes, it's back. It's kind of back. It's almost back. I hope you can hear me and it's still going to work for the whole thing. But yes. Vash Ego, it's getting cold in Texas. Wow, it's getting colder. That sounds like another kind of expression like that I can think of. Well, that's pretty good. It must be getting, well, cooling down. So cold in Texas must be like 41 Celsius, which is like, I don't know, below 100 is probably cold there. I don't know. I'm used to Texas, the idea of that being very hot. Mikey Chen, very good to see you indeed. Oh, and thank you all for coming and joining from the 3 Old Dudes show. Good to have you. Ed tomorrow, indeed. Very good. Oh, so you just quit. So good to have you on board. Peter Subarashi, Karakia Steve, good to see you. The 3 Old Dudes, very good to have you guys here as well. So thanks for joining. Indeed. Oh, didn't want to overlap. Well, I don't mind if you overlap. You can overlap. Everyone can rock in. We just take some time warming up anyway. Oh, I'm getting a warning that the stream is not good. Well, I hope that you're keeping up anyway. Okay. Come on, stream. Health is good. Primary stream. I don't know what that means. Never mind. It might be that I'm using 720p and maybe I should have used 480p, but screw it. I'm using 720p. Rumso Gaijin, good to see you. Oh, Chris, good to see you. I'm sorry, I skipped a couple. Ray Renard, Hangout Marathon. Indeed, there have been a couple tonight. Hey, Chris, very good to see you. Tomorrow, Rumso Gaijin. Hey, I'm doing well. Weather's a bit crap in Scotland at the moment, but a rum on your show is always good. A good distraction for it. Thank you for joining and enjoy this. Enjoy the rum and enjoy the independence referendum. Travis Moore, you always wondered. Yeah, exactly. You see, you're on the same frequency as me. You could take the Streets of Rage 2 music, but you can kind of update the beats and stuff like that. You can still have the vibe, but you can pump up and proper beats with it. I think it'll work. I don't know. This is partly why I want to get back into like Beatmaker and stuff like that. And certainly when I get the iPhone 6 Plus, which I pre-ordered. Yes, I did. I'm going to get to that. Apparently as well. So if you want to check the size, I've actually got. I think I've got some Ichimonensatsu. So it is the same size as a 10,000 yen note in Japan. So it'll be like this. It's a 10,000 yen note, $100 bill. So it's basically, I held like a model of one today. They still don't have real models in the shops here yet, but it would be that big. I think this is quite usable. And in any case, I got it because it's got the basically there's no difference, of course, between the regular iPhone 6 and the big iPhone 6 Plus. The CPU is the same, the memory is the same, the system's the same, the soft, everything should run the same. The only differences are two. One is the 1080p screen, which is nice but not essential for me. The other more important difference is that it has a better camera. It has a including with mechanical optical stabilization as well as digital stabilization, which should mean better low light performance, just a little bit of a bigger, better camera module. And it's not much of a difference, but that's enough for me. So I pre-ordered on the first day. I ordered the Space Gray 128 gigabyte. Finally 128 gigs, so I can put all my music, which is about 60 gigs, along with some movies, and have some spare space for some big games and stuff like that, which even my 64 gig current iPhone doesn't quite do. And I think I will be, I've got 128 gigs on my iPad mini, but I think probably when we get to about 256, I think then I can finally say it's comfortable. And once you get to 256, you're practically talking like a full computer laptop. I mean, really, above that, I mean, of course, I've got like 10 terabytes on my current PC, but once you're getting into the 256, you're getting into the comfortable, respectable PC territory. So I'm totally going to get that anyway. I've been getting there's been a lot of discussion around me talking about getting the iPhone 6, which I might also pick up. I've made that one of my video topics. But indeed, we will see. So what else we got? We got that's right, Mikey Chim. Oh, this is I think the frames are pretty much the same. So people are saying reflective are better in Bashigo's opinion. Yeah, I got that impression as well. I might go back to the reflective. Yeah, I guess these are more. I guess this is wide glasses. They look very nice up close, but I do realize they don't project as well as the shiny ones. And yes, I learned to audio and video edit, produce on the fly. I always thought I'd be quite good at this actually if someone else was doing it and I was running the Wirecast stuff. But you know what else? I'm going to try doing something else on the fly right now, which is I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it. Boom! I want to do, where is it? Local desktop printer. I shouldn't do this on the fly, but you know what, I'm just going to drag. Oh, I can't drag out the size though, that's the problem. Well, I can do that. I'm going to make a quick adjustment on the fly to this, where I'm going to increase the boom. And I'm just gonna and local list will present up, boom. Okay, that makes it beautiful. So this is one thing I can do. I can actually do these edits on the fly, and as a result, yeah, you can kind of do nice, cool looking things like that. Just gets the comments a little bit fitting on, and the video a little bit wider, so it's a little bit narrow. But yeah. Oh, and you know what? I just realized I did something with that. So let me go here and move that back. Boom, boom. Okay. Sorry, I get distracted. So anyway, it is indeed working. Wirecast is working, and I'm happy, and I can edit it on the fly, which is nice. And both pair of glasses look identical to most people, and I guess that makes sense. But the matte finish, sorry, that's what you're supposed to say. It look good for the outdoor, but the glossy can be for fashion. Thanks. I guess that's probably the way I should look at it. Comments are updating like crazy, so Let me check up. So I'm sorry, there's some people there. ZZ, yes, indeed. B-boy tripping. Good to see you. I think you were at the party. You were at the party, weren't you? I think I saw your video like in the preparation for it anyway. And very good to see you. And indeed, tomorrow, Keiro no Hi, a public holiday in Japan, long weekend, because of Respect for Old People Day. And this is going to be a topic. It's a regular news topic now. And indeed, this is something that I'm going to keep bringing up, because this is probably like the defining issue in Japan right now. There's a story talking about how Japan has the the highest number of people over 75 years old now in its history, and it's a really big deal. You know, it's a challenging issue for Japan. So yeah, it's I'm going to raise that. But Keiro no Hi, indeed. Russ-san saying actually that yes, they look the same, and that's fair enough. Bonsoir, hello Robert. Oh, no, it's updating like crazy. Both. So let me just scroll down a little bit. Bonsoir, got it, Robert. Landing Wombat, good to see you from Taiwan. So you're from Taiwan and your name is Landing Wombat. That's pretty cool. Irini Ganzia, very good to see you, and hello Greece. Ed tomorrow, we're in Texas. Mini United Nations. Ooh, it's kind of moving a bit weird. Mini UN. Norway left Sweden, and it's a similar situation as Scotland. That's a good point. That's a good point. Norway did secede from Sweden. They're probably quite similar, actually. Indeed. Renton, you're late. Don't worry about it. Good evening to you. Martin Coral Grenholm, hello from Norway. Indeed, it's a very international crowd. It's Branko, hello from Serbia. And my stepfather, by the way, is from Novi Sad. I'm sorry. Is it Novi Sad or Novi Sad? But anyway, he's from Serbia. So hello Serbia. It's a place I'd like to visit. I've been to Croatia, but I have not been to Serbia, although I'd love to go there. And indeed, Serbia this is with Euro, doing pretty well. FIBA, oh okay, it's the basketball competition. Man, they're also tall there. I felt short when I was in the Balkans. Ahmed again hassling me to try out the Nexus 5, which I might do one day, but no, I'm digging the iPhone for now. And there we go. I think I've caught up, so I'm gonna go into news topics and stuff like that. So I'm just getting used to having the comments back at the moment. But yeah, the comments were moving a little bit weird, and some people talking about little bugs as well. I mean, YouTube is still full of them. Of course, it wouldn't be YouTube if it wasn't. But let me just see if I can put this in a better place. And anyway, so it's good to see you all. The topics, so underneath the video you can see the link for my Flipboard magazine with recommended reading. Actually, I think I call it Flipboard Topics. I've renamed it to make it simpler. So it's Hiko's Tokyo Tonight Topics, which is boom. Let me just put that on there. And I don't know if it's possible to enlarge the font on that. I know it doesn't resolve very clearly. They use kind of thin font. But, well, I can kind of make it bigger. Yeah, but then it doesn't work anymore, so no, I'm going to... Oh. No, I see. I'm supposed to... Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. There we go. So anyway, this is indeed my Flipboard magazine, which is updated with the things that I found interesting this week. Yeah, the main things going on, I guess, were the release of the iPhone 6, and I'm on a 5, and I'm allowed to get a new one every 2 years, so I signed straight up for getting the new one of those, which I'm looking forward to. And the reason I got it, I've had a few Android devices, and I haven't really gotten into them. I've had a Samsung S3, I've had my Regza tablet, which I did a review of, as well as a computer monitor with Android in it. But I just don't find it all as smooth and as integrated, which is inevitable. You know, when the approach is so different. I really dig iOS. I've got thousands of dollars of apps. I've spent so much on them, and I'm very comfortable with how I use it. And the idea of using it on a bigger screen with a great camera, it appeals. That's why I'm getting that. But the topics that I have, let's have a look at the first one. There's an article here: 5 things that Toronto could learn from Tokyo. It's a little bit hard to read, so let's try zooming in a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. And obviously I don't know Toronto very well. I mean, I guess Toronto could learn about having a mayor. Well, probably now he's got cancer. Now you can feel guilty kind of beating up on Rob Ford. Is it Rob Ford or whatever his name is? But yes, in any case, it's a good way to look at the things that I think are good about Tokyo, which is of course my favorite city and where I live. So the things that they're talking about from a Toronto perspective, they talk about people pay fastidious attention to the workings of the subway. So basically, Toronto should have a good, and indeed, I mean, as you'll see on my next video, I mean the transport system here is the best I've seen anywhere, and it literally works like a clock. You know, you can literally set your watch by the trains here. There are bazillions of them. Tens of millions of people use it every day, and it's awesome. So indeed, get people to and from the airport. Getting people to and from the airport or airports are not something I would boast about as a Tokyo resident. I think that particularly Narita just kind of sucks. But they say that in spite of that, it has good transit connections, which apparently the one at Toronto doesn't. So wow. It must suck pretty bad in Toronto if they're comparing favorably to Narita. But yes, indeed. Think small is another thing that they talk about. So they talk about the bicycle parking and capsule hotels and so on. Yeah, Japan does small pretty well, and they do compact pretty well. They think about it from necessity, so that's a fair statement. And changing the garbage culture, which indeed, well, Japanese are pretty diligent when it comes to culture, or garbage culture. Although one thing coming from Australia, in Australia they use big, secure plastic bins, which you need because you got to deal with things like stray dogs and big birds and stuff like that. So you need kind of, and having the big wheelie bins is great for suppressing the smell. It's very easy to just throw the stuff in and forget about it, and the big truck comes and loads them on. In Japan, people still put out their garbage by plastic bags. And the big problem in Tokyo, it can be dogs and stray dogs and cats, although that's not such a big concern. The big concern is, of course, karasu, or ravens, crows. They're amazingly intelligent. I mean, they're so intelligent, they actually memorize the times and the days of the week. Like, they keep changing the daily schedule, that they might only pick up garbage on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the morning, for example. And then to defeat the ravens, they decided to change the schedule, for example, and make it Wednesday afternoons. And after a couple of weeks, all the birds would be waiting like 5 minutes before on Wednesday afternoons. I mean, they're amazingly intelligent birds. They're also big and kind of scary, and they're very good at getting into plastic bags. And plastic wheelie bins, like in Australia, seems like a good idea to me. But that's the Japanese overcome it by keeping their garbage until the very last minute and putting it all out at the same time and separating everything. And they're very, very good with that. There's also an interesting thing as well with the garbage cultures. Well, we talk about that. One feature of Shibuya and a lot of places used to be that there was a lot of litter, not everywhere, but if there was anywhere near a garbage bin, people would throw their garbage out, if not in the bin, it'd fill up very quickly in a crowded place like Shibuya. So people would throw their garbage not just in the bin, but anywhere around, and those areas around the bin became really, really messy areas. I think it was initially in response to a security thing. There was some crazy guy who put a bomb in a rubbish bin somewhere. So they covered them up, but what people started to notice was when they took the rubbish bins away, and people didn't have a clear designated place that they could throw garbage away guilt-free, people would hold on to the garbage and they'd end up taking it home. And when people observed this behavior, and I'm not sure it would be the same in other countries, but certainly it is the case in Japan, people would take their garbage home, and it actually made Shibuya cleaner, having fewer rubbish bins, which I hate because I use rubbish bins properly and I want there to be rubbish bins. But people found out, in a psychology thing, you can actually not only cut down on the cost of garbage collection, but it also actually makes the city cleaner, having fewer garbage bins. And as a result, they've gone and cut down on the number of, and it's why it's impossible to find a rubbish bin in Tokyo. And if you ask what people do, they take their drink bottle or their plastic bag of whatever, they put it in their bag and they carry it home, or at least until they find a rubbish bin somewhere. Which is really kind of amazing. I don't know if it'll be the same other places, but it's an interesting thing. Oh, Ted's gone, so you're toast. No worries. Your pimp wants you on the street early tomorrow. That's understandable. So see you later. So the garbage culture, that's another interesting one. How bad is it in Toronto? Well, I guess Tokyo is pretty clean, though. That's the thing. And crowd control. Yes, the fact that you can have like crowds of 100,000 drunk people, or indeed the photo of the Shibuya intersection. It's kind of weird, actually. I mean, and it's pretty rare. There are very few cities, I think, that really are as crowded as Tokyo. You know, you're talking sort of New York, London kind of level, Mexico City. And people kind of change their behavior when you've got crowds that big. You become very... You interact less with the people around you because there's too many people. But at the same time, in terms of people have these kind of force fields which people recognize, that, yeah, you take care to try not to bump into people, which means that just walking through huge crowds, you can do it. Well, it's kind of weird how it works. So, interesting article there, and thought-provoking for me in terms of thinking about what works in Tokyo from an outside perspective. Another story that I put, which is again part of the general theme of the demographic crisis in Japan, as they call it, which is basically two things: the increasing number of elderly people and the increasing number of young people leaving rural Japan for the cities. Abe is calling this the #1 policy imperative for his government. The reason for that is, of course, that the LDP, his political party, is a rural party. Basically, they're voted in from the prefectures, and yeah. So for them, this is a thing which affects their home constituencies the most. Although, frankly, those young people are coming to a better place. They're coming to Tokyo. They're having and Osaka, which are underrepresented. A vote in Tokyo in national elections is still worth, I think at the worst, I think it's 5-1, and they keep people, urban voters keep going to court, and saying that it's, the fact that there are some places in Japan which have votes worth 5 times more their votes is unconstitutional. It violates the principle of equality, equal voting rights. And the Supreme Court, every time it's been taken up there, has upheld it. And the government's tried to still reduce that thing. But so basically, rural people have a really disproportionate representation, and that's only going to be increasing given the depopulation that's happening in rural areas at the moment, and the fact that they're not increasing the voting power of places like Tokyo, which they should. Tokyo and Osaka are desperately underrepresented, but things being as they are, it means that politicians are trying to figure out how to make people in their hometowns happy, and what they want is they want to keep the young people, they want to keep the families, they want to keep the economies, and they want to stop their towns turning into ghost towns. I personally think that's wrong. I think that the government, rather than... Oh, have I just frozen? I'm looking at my streaming software, and it's showing I can see the sound moving, but I can't see the video moving. I seem to have frozen. Damn it. Can people tell me if I am frozen or not? Okay, I'm going to hope that it's still moving and working, and I'm going to keep talking. But in any case, I think the government should be looking at where people are going and looking to support Tokyo more, to take in all the young people that are coming and make it a better place for young people, and manage the decline of the rural places. I mean, don't fight against what people want to do. My software is freaking out. You know what? I might have to come back and do this. So sit tight. I'm going to come back. I'm going to reboot my software. Okay. Damn it. So because it crashed, it hadn't saved the settings that I put in, which updated the mic settings. So I'm just going to have to leave it like this the rest of the time. But you can hear me now. Yeah. Anyway. I'm back. I'm talking now. Sound is fixed. It's going to take 30 seconds for you to realize this. It's a bit like being on the moon, I guess. Like the signals take about 30 seconds each way. Sound is back. Damn it. Anyway, oh, Raz is here. Let the games begin. You're a little bit late, but that's cool. But anyway, so what I was talking about with I was just saying, I was actually meeting an investment banker friend this week. And I was talking with a friend from high school, but he's always here asking for the latest on Japan. And I sat down and we had a good catch up, actually. But I was telling him, like, I think with the population decline thing, I can accept that Japan's not going to accept mass immigration, even if it should. There's a lot of reasons that it won't, and that's okay. I think people just have to accept that's just going to be part of how it's going to work. But if you ask me what should be done, is at the moment they're trying to like pay incentives for families to stay in rural towns or whatever, or pay like bonuses for getting married and not leaving, and all these sorts of things. And I think that's wrong. I think that what they really need to be doing is they need to be gracefully managing the decline in a way that makes those towns that they're leaving more desirable places to stay. Giving them like $500 bonus for getting married. There was something on the news tonight. That's not the way to do it. And, kind of having these desperate and these old people kind of trying to figure out about how if they're setting up more arranged marriages and stuff like that. What people care about is jobs and living environment, and nobody wants to live in a town that's half abandoned. And I think the solution to that is the government, and this would be, I think, maybe even more impossible than getting lots of foreigners into Japan. But the solution is the government has to get the power to take unoccupied houses and nationalize them, make them public property, knock them down, turn them into parks and public facilities that increase the quality of the life of the people who are behind. So, rather than have those towns with young people going out, rather than having them, being old towns that are half abandoned with collapsing economies and, full of haikyo, make them towns that have like fantastic parks and extra schools and extra hospitals. Make use of the land. What's the benefit? Everyone says the benefit of depopulation is, well, there's too many people anyway. Wouldn't it be nicer having some more space and less people? And that's how it should be. So make that real. Make it nicer. That's the way I think they should be doing it. I don't think that will happen, however, and I think that young people are going to keep leaving because those towns are going to gradually. It's only going to be the old people who are going to stay, and those towns are going to get emptier and emptier. And maybe it's better for the environment that way. There are upsides to that. If they correct the constitutional issue with the disproportionate weight that rural areas have over urban voters, and they give urban voters the actual voting power that they're supposed to have. Money should stay more in the cities and make cities more livable. And hell, geez, let knock down all those abandoned towns and let them go back to nature if necessary, or turn them into areas that people from towns can affordably have holiday homes, which is a big part of New Zealand and Australian culture, which is now kind of disappearing, but was in the past. That made our lifestyle so great. There's all sorts of things you can do to try to manage the depopulation, but allowing everything to go into progressive ghost towns with no young people and trying to pay bribes as the only way to get people to stay, which I can't. That's what should be done, and I don't know if it can be done in terms of forcefully trying to make things better quality, but otherwise it's going to get pretty tough, and that's what I'm seeing here. Elias, good to join you indeed. And indeed, well, I think the first thing is you make them better places to live, and when you have them as better places to live, two things will happen. It's a very Japanese attitude to take make big companies invest, and indeed a lot of towns in Japan are based around the big local factories and the big local employers. But what I'm really liking about the current generation who have kind of dropped out of big corporate Japan is that you have these freeters and part-time people who kind of do the businesses that they want to do, and there's a lot of actual innovation, and and you see it especially in rural areas. Actually, the people who do their own restaurants or do their own sort of mini businesses, and that's again something else I think that should be encouraged. And this is something as well. If you have a town without a big factory, but it's a wonderful place to bring up kids that have people who aren't tied to big jobs in the cities and they want to go out into the countryside. Let them go out and be free and be entrepreneurial. And Hokkaido is like this apparently. Try to spread that sort of culture. To me, we're speaking idealism, of course, but that's what I think it's all about. But indeed, it is now being treated already as the #1 issue, and they're talking about here. Oh, exactly. So anyone willing to move to for example, the village of Mishima, which is dying out, now only has 370 residents left, they're going to pay them $5,000. But honestly, $5,000 in Japan, it's nice. It's a couple of months' rent and salary, perhaps, but I think you got to do more than just you use the money to make the town better, and a lot of towns are doing that as well, and they're trying to do this on top of that. But yeah, I think that Japan should be doing more to hands-on manage the depopulation of the countryside. Another story that's been big in the last couple of weeks that I hadn't talked about yet was the dengue fever outbreak, and it's kind of funny. The current governor of Tokyo, Masazoi, he's been getting a lot of flack from the far right because he's been very Korea-friendly lately, and he's been involving himself in a lot of city-to-city diplomacy, which, as the Olympic city host, is something. There's a justification and reason for that. Although he's been very vocally in favor of, for example, extending subsidies to the North Korean schools in Tokyo, and reconciliation with South Korea. He did a tour over there and met the Korean president, which no Prime Minister of Japan's been able to do since Park was became president. But yeah, so while he was being statesman-like and annoying all the right-wingers and so on, they for the first time since like World War II, some people caught dengue fever, a mosquito-borne tropical disease, while being in Yoyogi Park, Tokyo's most popular park. And apparently when that was found, in response to that, they sent a few people over there with spray cans by the sounds of it to go fix it. But then after that, more and more people kept getting it, and they started tracing it to other parks. Like it started tracing it, moving around central Tokyo, including the areas around. All the parks near where I often go to in central Tokyo are all closed now. And it keeps spreading. The numbers of people go up. Dengue fever is, of course, a very unpleasant. It's a high fever and very, very painful fever, from what I understand. And it's kind of gone out of control with a bunch of half measures, and no one really, it's kind of, no one in government really reacted to it. It kind of shows that, government can be good at reacting to disasters that they practice for and that they train for, but unforeseen crisis management, government just doesn't. First of all, they pretend it's not happening and they try to go about other things, and now they're admitting they just reacted really poorly to this, and they failed to control it, and as a result, Tokyo has dengue fever at the moment. And the only thing I think will save us, I'm not relying upon the government to be able to manage the disease, to wipe out the mosquitoes. I should get tips from Singapore on how to do it, because Singapore is remarkable that it's a country built on a tropical swamp, that they've managed to eliminate dengue fever. But it's because if they see a puddle of water, they immediately put mosquito insecticide in it. They try to do everything to avoid allowing it to happen. Here they could use some tips on that. But I'm pretty sure that the climate, that probably it becoming autumn here, is going to save us before the Tokyo government does, unfortunately. It's another case of failed crisis management. It's pretty consistent with what you see if you look back in history at things like the Kobe earthquake or the nuclear power plant accident in Fukushima or stuff like that. At a much lower level, but it's symptomatic of the same sort of behavior of just very poor, slow reaction times on public health crises. Another story which I've got is so the one thing I'm looking forward to, one of the things that I thought immediately, iPhone 6 finally has NFC, finally has this contactless payment, which I've been waiting for like 10 years. I mean, since the first iPhone came out, that was like the feature that I was missing the most. And finally they've got NFC. So I was like, oh great, because at the moment what I've got is this. I've got my Suica NFC card. Because they don't have it, people bought these cases where you could embed it inside the case, or you put it on a flap there so you can touch your phone like all the other phones in Japan do. And now they're finally releasing it. They're finally releasing contactless payments, except the protocols that they're using for it apparently are based on entirely different technical standards to the one that's been used in Japan for the last 10 years and is incompatible with the contactless payments that are used in Japan, which is kind of annoying. I mean, I guess the answer is that they'll have to update all the readers in Japan. There's this thing as well, as I understand that the payment technology, the patents for it are owned by Sony and NTT, so they get a payment, they get a royalty payment for each one of the readers and so on. So they make money not just off the use of the system, but on the rollout of the system. I do think it'll be a little bit like, like video standards or something like that. Given how popular the iPhone is in Japan, it is the most popular phone in Japan, and everyone's going to have this soon. I think an NTT, everyone wants to sell phones, and NTT controls this to a large extent. I do think that they are probably going to roll out upgrades of I don't know if they can do it by firmware. I hope they can do it by firmware, but I suspect it might be hardware upgrades. But I suspect NTT is going to put its money behind helping retailers and so on, wherever you can use Suica now. They'll make it so they'll upgrade all the hardware so that you can use the contactless payments on the iPhone, but I think it's going to take a year probably, which is frustrating. Well, at least it's finally happening. It's something that should have been there from the beginning, so I was kind of happy about that. And I think the popularity of Apple in Japan means that they're going to take the Apple standard and they're going to apply it to the pre-existing thing which exists in Japan. But there's a good article here anyway on Japan Real Time explaining how Docomo has had this since 2004. And there are currently 33 million cell phones that have contactless payments. It's been very successful in Japan. In fact, you could say that Apple's actually copying what's worked very well in Japan and what drives me crazy not having with an iPhone. But there it is, it's coming, so that's good news. Other stories that I've got, I thought this was funny. I thought this was funny because I was walking through Tokyo Station the other day and I saw this sign. It's a big footprint and it says, "Let's stop doing that. Walking and using smartphones at the same time. Yamemashou aruki smaho." Smaho is an abbreviation for smartphones. It's something I'm definitely very guilty of myself. I guess it's like drunk drivers in the 70s. It's like, actually, I drive excellent when I'm drunk. And I like to think I'm excellent at using my smartphone walking, but I'm probably not. And so they've put signs, and if you look down the bottom, it's interesting. It's sponsored by AU, Docomo, and SoftBank, the big mobile companies. They're sponsoring a campaign to get people to not look down. And this is in a I was here in the weekend, but this is through a passage connecting Nihonbashi to Tokyo Station, so it's very crowded. So I guess, yeah, to reduce complaints about that or improve sense of manners, they have these things everywhere. And I did notice this the other day as well. On Engadget in China, they're actually creating like smartphone walking lanes. So in addition to like bicycle lanes, I guess this isn't going to be everywhere, but it's an interesting experiment that they actually have. Or they're rolling out the idea of footpaths for people who are looking down at their smartphones, which makes sense. Landing Wombat, welcome back. So I don't know, maybe this is a solution. Maybe this is something that we will see to take into account the heightened awareness about issues with smartphone steering while walking. Who knows? But I thought that was funny. Next page. Oh, and this is another thing which got me. So they've been talking about lifting this ban on nightclubs, which is ridiculous, of course, because one of the best things about Tokyo is the nightclub and the nightclubbing culture here. But they have these so they had this government committee to allow dancing in nightclubs past midnight on this law which was designed post World War II during the GHQ period to prevent US soldiers using prostitutes, and they want to basically what do you call it, decriminalize nightclubs and dancing, which is ridiculous at night. But the committee which was looking at it was, typically speaking, it was an LDP committee full of 80-year-olds plus, and they're all sitting there thinking, well, I don't want young people going dancing at night with the other sex. I mean, and then their very Saudi Arabia-like attitude to legalizing that which has already existed and which they themselves fully enjoyed through the 60s and 70s and through the bubble. They want to make it illegal for young people to dance. But they eventually gave up on banning dancing or leaving the ban on dancing in place. But they decided that as part of the legalization of dancing, they're going to also create a rule that after midnight, clubs have to keep a certain degree of lighting, 10 lux or above, which apparently is reasonably bright. So the idea is they don't want young people to be able to be in dark spaces. Bright rooms are not very conducive to nightclub dancing. You know, it's just stupid. And this is just another case. It comes back to the thing before about all these rural politicians who are trying to legislate to protect their constituents or whatever. And the problem is that rural people and elderly people have more voting rights, and they have disproportionately strong votes to young urban people. And this is just another case of old people. The whole demographic crisis, if you ask me, it's not about depopulating rural towns. It's about old people legislating against youth. And this is another case of that. And it's happening, and it's going to get worse. And I keep thinking, man, is it really going to suck being my son? In the future, is he going to live in a country where everything that the current generation of old people that got away with murder, you know, I mean, these were all Red Army or you know, right-wing gang thugs in a period of complete chaos in the 60s and 70s and 80s. You've got the best behaved generation of young people, and probably in Japanese history at the moment, and they're being regulated against. They're not allowed to take alcohol to Sushi Beach. They're not allowed to have, you know, barbecues anymore. They're not allowed to dance because there's this idea that they must be terrible, which is probably being legislated by the 80-year-olds thinking about how terrible they themselves were when they were in their 20s, and thinking they must regulate against it, when the kids nowadays are way better than they were. Oh, it's ridiculous, and it's kind of annoying. But we will be able to dance. It'll just be in well-lit rooms. And I'm guessing, I tweeted when I saw this, I'm guessing the follow-up regulations will require distances dancing between the sexes to allow enough space for the baby Jesus, because that's the way they seem to be thinking. It's crazy, but it's progress, but jeez. I featured on Busan Kevin's blog this week, the Just Japan podcast. I did an interview talking about my obtaining of my permanent residency and mocking his hairstyle. In a self-mocking kind of a way. We had a really fun chat. We got a lot of yucks out of it. I was kind of hassling him a lot of the time. We shared kind of immigration horror stories and jokes and whatnot. And we had a good chat talking about immigration, getting a visa in Japan. A lot of people are interested in that. So go and check that out. Hear what we were talking about on his show. Not making fun of Canadians. Canadians are cool. But yes, that's right, on his Canadian podcast. So it was a good podcast, actually. It was a really good show, and I highly recommend. Go and use the links from my magazine and go and check it out. Had a great chat with him. Talking about the iPhone 6, which I've been talking about all night, so that's okay. Lycee, indeed, perhaps they will release a list of approved dance moves. I'm pretty sure, well, I don't know, I will lobby myself to allow the robot and the moonwalk, that's right. And the moonwalk and the sitting in the circle dancing like this. Those are the ones. So long as they have those ones, I don't know if there's any other. Perhaps we should make a list now of dances that we want to make sure are approved on the white list for approved dancing. Although at the same time, I must admit, if the police were ever to raid a club when I was dancing in them, there are some dance moves I would actually ask the police to arrest the people for. Oh, there's a fantastic video, a remake of Nicki Minaj's latest video, where the whole video is just twerking. It's just like, you know, bottom wobbling pretty much the whole way through, and someone's like did a recut of that of fart noises to synchronize with every buttock movement, and there's a lot of buttock movements, so and a lot of fart noises as well. It's really well done. You should look it up. I found it on Gizmodo, but look up I don't know, Nicki Minaj fart video. Perhaps it's not appropriate, but it was funny, so yes, go and check that out. iPhone 6 is awesome, and I'm getting one, ha ha ha. And that's all that I've got in terms of topics, which is good because I'm actually 2 minutes before the end of my scheduled time. But I'll go back into the comments, see how you guys are all doing, and boom. So let's migrate that over. Bada bing. And Lucas must have saw that. It was pretty good, wasn't it? It was, yes, bottom robbling. That's right. She got implants or something in that, right? Some people talked about pachinko. By the way, my investment banker friend who was here was apparently taking on a pachinko investment tour. Although he's familiar enough with Japan to know why people don't invest in pachinko. And I personally, I say this all the time, I tweet this all the time, it should be made illegal. It's illegal in Korea. And when Abe, in his previous administration, considered banning it in Japan, apparently Kim Dae-jung called up and said, don't do that, because it'll be really harmful to all the Koreans here. Which it would be, but it's also harmful to all the Japanese people here. And, you know, I think talking about, you know, they're looking at investing in a pachinko company because they're one of the consortiums that are looking to get the first casino licenses. But for a country which doesn't even still as a society recognize addiction, even tobacco addiction or alcohol addiction, you know, as being actual illnesses, you know, opening up, and there's already enough gambling addiction without casinos. And, you know, geez, I sound old even saying that, but it scares me, you know, and it's not necessary. There's enough going wrong with Japan without pachinko ruining things, and it's all run by gangsters, and, you know, geez, the money funds, you know, spent on it funds missiles that get fired over Japan. There's just nothing good about it, if you ask me. That's right, kick off for Sunday shoes, mini UN, exactly. I always like to make jokes about call Kevin Bacon because we're not allowed to dance. But now they're allowing us to dance in just a suckful, horrible, meaningless way. But that's okay. Oh, Hedgies and the Canadians are cool. Canadians are cool. They're almost as cool as New Zealanders. Mikey Chin, definitely check out Busan Kevin's podcast because it was awesome. I had a lot of fun there. And was Sarah Jessica Parker in Footloose? I didn't know that. For me, she started with LA Story, which is one of my favorite movies ever. I've got this thing. I just like every Steve Martin movie. Another cool Canadian. Dale te cuerpo alegría Macarena. I said, hey, Macarena. I remember that. Well, actually, the Macarenas, I'm worried, given the people who are writing the legislation, that they could actually mandate the Macarena. Probably. That'd be more in the mandating than banning it. But indeed. So, it's been good. It's good to have Wirecast back, even though it crashed once, and you lost sound from me. And okay, it's still not perfect, but I do like having this. I like having you guys on the show. That's what I like about this. It's about the conversation for me. I mean, you guys also. Some of you very kindly said at the YouTube party that you didn't need all the Wirecast fanciness and you just wanted to talk to me. Well, I just want to talk to you, so I like to bring you guys in this way. So thank you for that, and. Gajiniz is asking what percentage of people are watching live in Japan. That's an interesting question. I wonder if I can see the stats. Let me have a look. I can probably have a look. I don't have it to hand anyway, but I'll be interested in knowing that. I mean, I kind of do it at this time to accommodate people in Europe and America, and I seem to get a lot of people from there. I've also met a lot of Japanese people who say that they do watch, but you know, they're silent viewers, and that's okay. But yeah, this is very fun. I do want to go back. People are saying they want me to get back to doing a Japanese language show, which I do want to do. It's just a matter of finding the time for it, whether I make this 30 minutes. But you know, 1 hour is the right length for this. I feel like I've had a good chat now. But I would like to do, whether I do it another night, which is kind of hard on the home front, or doing it in Japanese, I don't know. But it's been good fun. It's been good talking all the stuff that's been going on in Japan. So I will see you, of course, on 2.5 Oyajis, which will be on my channel this week at 10:30 on Wednesday night, and 11 p.m. next Sunday, as we do every week for Tokyo Tonight. And big shout out again to Travis Moore. Thank you for creating this awesome logo, which is here. Boom, I love that. Oh, I'm going to show it over here, don't I? But I love this logo, and thank you for making that. That's awesome. So good seeing you guys again, and catch you again next week. And everyone, stay safe, have a good week, and see you again soon. And thanks for everyone who came to the party as well and watched the party, because that was awesome. And look out for an awesome music video coming out soon that I'm going to be editing after this using Kevin Crocker music. And it's going to rock. So check that out, and I will see you later. Leave a thumbs up if you like the video, because yeah, Victor's made me feel self-conscious about it now. So definitely do that, and I'll see you guys later. So boom, peace. Yep, stop streaming right there. See you later.